One of the biggest misconceptions of long-term travel is just that it's a big extended vacation.
I'm on vacation.
But in reality, we're just living our lives. And so we are looking for hobbies that will help keep us grounded, active, and give us some consistency as we move from place to place around the world. So today we're going to talk about the top 10 reasons we think bird watching is the perfect hobby for travelers. Now, if you stick around to the end of the video, we actually have a bonus 11th reason why I really enjoy this as a hobby. So stick around for that.
A fun thing about travelers is almost all of us are treasure hunters at heart. That is why we travel. That is why we explore the world. Some people, it might be food. They might be looking to eat a different bug in every country or find a Michelin star restaurant in every country. There are people who look for beaches or castles or churches. The thing we love to look for is birds.
And the thing that is great about birds is just the endless variety of them. Birds come in every shape, every size, every color. There's teeny tiny hummingbirds and big giant albatross and condors. They're in every different kind of habitat. No matter where you are in the world, you're going to be able to find some really good looking birds.
And a fantastic bonus is that you'll run into all kinds of other animals while you're birding. You're out there in nature, you'll see reptiles and amphibians and mammals. We have run into kangaroos in Australia and coati in Guatemala. And in the United States, we've come across deer and beavers. There are just so many animals that you will also run into besides the birds.
Another reason travelers might really enjoy bird watching is because of the ways it can enrich your connections to the local communities and cultures and environments. Birds are amazing indicators of environmental health, and as you learn more about birds, you'll also gain a deeper appreciation of the natural world and the importance of conservation in the communities that you're visiting.
One way you can contribute is by adding your own data, the birds you see while you're traveling, to citizen science projects. Many organizations rely on this data. By reporting your sightings, you contribute valuable information to conservation efforts and scientific research.
Another great thing about choosing birding as a hobby is that anyone can do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what your fitness level is like. There are ways that you can make birding your own and do it the way that you want to do it. Like, for example, I have a little bit of color blindness, so I can't always see, especially in darker light. I can't see all the colors. Luckily, he can, so he can see them. But he has a little bit of a hearing problem with the high-pitched bird sounds that I can hear. And so often when we'll go out birding, it's like I'll hear the bird and I'll point him in the right direction, and then he can actually find it and see it. So, it doesn't really matter. You can make it your own. Some people want to go on big, long hikes, which sometimes we enjoy, but sometimes you just want to sit on a bench in a park and look at the birds there. We did a house sit once in rural Oklahoma, and most of the bird watching we did was out the window of our yard. We had a bird feeder. We put a lot of bird in there, and we found some amazing birds just in that one location. So there are lots of ways you can do it. There's no right way or wrong way. You can do it a lot. You can do it a little bit. Whatever works for you, this can be a great hobby.
Can I tell you one thing you said?
Oh no.
We had a feeder. We put a lot of bird in it.
We put a lot of bird in there.
Instead of food. You can bird anywhere. Of course, there's the places you would think of in the mountains, on a trail, on a hike, in a park, at the beach. But you can also bird through your apartment window. You can bird at the airport. We were at the London airport and we saw a life bird. A life bird is the first time you see a new species. We saw a dunnock in London. At the airport, we've seen birds on cruise ships. We saw our first albatrosses while cruising in South America. You can bird absolutely everywhere. Many travelers are already going to all of these places, but with a different hobby, photography. We think that photography and birding are the perfect combination because who doesn't like pictures of birds too? We take pictures of birds. We're not photographers, but we do enjoy posting those. So if you want to check us out on Instagram and Facebook, you can see some of those pictures.
Another great reason to choose birding as a hobby is that it's good for your health. Studies show that getting outside into nature multiple times per week is just good for you. It reduces your stress, it improves your focus, it decreases your risk for long-term and serious illnesses, and by default can actually make you live longer. As travelers, our health is probably the most important factor that we are concerned about. We want to make sure we can travel for as long as possible. So if we can choose a hobby that is going to make our health better, this is definitely something we want to do. If you'd like to dig a little deeper and read some of those studies, I will put a link in the description below the video so you can check those out. What's also fun about birding is that it's a challenge. I mean, you can make it easy if you want to, there's nothing wrong with that, but you can also let it challenge you and let it push you. And so there are days where we want to walk just a little bit farther, or stay out just a little bit longer, or listen a little more intently. And all of those things get us out into nature, help reduce our stress, and are going to make us feel better. Now, one thing, it's sort of a fun way for us to deal with it, is that we have had in the past some nemesis birds. These are birds that we thought would be relatively easy to see, and then you just can't find them. One of the most recent ones we've been battling with is it the hoopoe?
The hoopoe.
The hoopoe. I can't even pronounce it right because I'm so mad at this bird. It is a relatively common bird here in Europe. The entire first time we came to Europe, we didn't see a single one, even though we were in areas they should have been. This last trip, we have actually seen some. He's actually seen a couple when he's gone out without me, and I've seen them in the distance flying away. The other day we were at a park down in Montenegro here in Ulsanj, and we did see one in a tree. It was really far away. I had the maximum zoom on my camera, trying to make out this bird. So I technically have seen it, but I still haven't had what I consider a good sighting of it. So it's just one of those things. It doesn't really matter. It's just for fun, but it does encourage us to just stay outside and keep going farther and harder and have a lot of fun with it. Hi, I can see you.
Birding can be done with minimal education and equipment. You can make it as basic as you want. You can simply go outside and look around and go, hey, look, a bird. It can be that easy. Or you can put a little more effort into it if you'd want to. One thing we like to do is have binoculars. These binoculars are Vortex. They're a pretty good quality. They see really well in low light. They have a wide field of vision. These are excellent, and I like using these a lot.
My binoculars, you can see, are much smaller just because I don't like to carry as much as that. Like I said, I can't see the colors anyway, so the better vision on those don't really help me a lot. But these smaller ones are great because I can put them in my pocket and just walk around with them. And from my perspective, something that I'll actually carry is a better tool than something I might leave at home that day because I just don't want to carry it. So I really enjoy these. I will put a link in the description below with links to Amazon if you want to check out either of these binoculars to see if it's something you might want to use.
I can't see you.
I can't see you very well either. You're a little blurry. So going back to education real quick, we started birding on a cruise ship. We were on a cruise around South America, and there were a whole bunch of birders on this cruise, and we just happened to meet some of them. We're looking for the wandering albatross, which is one of the biggest birds in the world. It has a giant wingspan, and they were really hoping to see this. And we're like, well, I want to see it. And we kind of got involved. We didn't know what we were doing, but it caught our interest. So you can start wherever you want. The longer you do it, the better you're going to get at it, the more that you're going to learn, but you can start from the basics, and that's perfectly fine. A great reason to consider birdwatching is just the opportunity to continue learning. We definitely don't want to get complacent as we travel and want to be challenged and want to be learning new things as we go. With 11,000 different species of birds on the earth, there is always more things to learn about new species, about new habitats, about new conservation efforts. There's always more to come, listening to the different calls, the different mating rituals and behaviors. There's a lot of information. The more you do it, the more you're going to learn and the more enriched your experience is going to be.
Whether you're looking for a solo or a group activity, birding can be perfect for you. Personally, I love to bird alone at times. I like to wake up early in the morning before everyone else is up, and I go out and I walk and I look for birds, and it's my time to slowly wake up and be out in nature. Birding is also perfect for someone who likes a more social experience. There are so many opportunities to meet other birders and other people interested in this hobby. We have met people in most of the other countries we've been to that are other birders.
Sometimes we just meet them like out on the field.
Most of the time.
And
when
we
we're out
see
and about.
someone with binoculars and he's really good about it. He'll go right up to him and be like, hey, what are you
What'd you
looking
find
for?
today?
We met that guy in Australia in Centennial Park.
And this guy has binoculars, so I went over and I said, hello, are you a birder? And he said, you know, actually, I am the lead birder at this park. Come with me and I'll show you everything you want to see. And we ended up seeing an owl and a tawny frogmouth and a bunch of other birds that we would not have seen if we had not met him.
Really cool birds. Like that was really lucky.
Most recently, we were in Tirana, Albania, and I had submitted a few bird lists there, and someone from the Albanian Ornithological Society contacted me, and we ended up meeting them and having a good meeting at their office. It was a lot of fun. They also invited us to do a bird banding the next week. Unfortunately, we had to leave before we could do that. We were so disappointed. Other ways you can meet people through birding are through Facebook groups, or often you can look for local birding groups that offer tours and walks.
Or you can wait until we're in the area and we'll go birding with you.
Give us a call.
Another thing we've kind of mentioned is that birding is a hobby that can be done at multiple different price points. If you want to do it for free, you can just go out and do it for free. If you want to find state parks that might have an entry fee or something that you have to pay for transportation to get to, or maybe you want to take a really fancy bird tour with a really experienced guide, and those tours can run, thousands of dollars. They might include lodging and transportation, and they can get really expensive, but they can also be really rewarding. I know when we have gone to Mindo in Ecuador, it is an excellent location, by the way, if you want to go birding there. We just went on our own and we just walked out into the jungle every day and looked for as many birds as we can find. But we know people who have gone there on tours and they found way more species of birds than we did because those guides are experienced and they know where the birds are, they know where certain species live, and they can point them out for you. So it just depends on what's important to you, but you can find those experiences. I know when we went on our African safari in South Africa, it was not a birding tour, but we told our guide, we're really interested in looking for birds. And so he pointed them out to us. There was one of the days, he really took us on this really long trek because we told him we really want to see an ostrich. And so we went out, he took us a long way out of the way. I think he was a little disappointed because he wanted to help us try and find leopards that day. It was the only big animal we didn't see. But we wanted to see an ostrich. So we went out there and he pointed out into the wilderness and he's like, there's an ostrich. And with our binoculars that we could just barely see this little speck, but we could tell it was an ostrich. And that was really exciting for us. Again, in Mindo is another place where, they had the expensive bird tours, but there was also this little place that offered hummingbirds. They had feeders there and they'd put the feeder in your hand and the hummingbirds would come and land in your hand and eat out of your palm. It was a really fun activity and that cost, $5 or $10. So all price points, you can do what you want. You're going to have lots of different opportunities.
As travelers, we are always looking for new and interesting places to explore, and we have found that birding is a great way to inspire our travels. For example, Papua New Guinea is full of amazing birds. It is on our list of places we would love to go someday, but it also has inspired other places we have traveled. There is a kind of bird, a classification of bird called an endemic bird, and that is a bird that can only be found in a very specific location. We love finding endemic birds because we know we'll never have another opportunity to see those birds. For example, in Fiji, there is the Fiji parrotfinch, gorgeous little bird that we are so happy we had the opportunity to see. When we were in Indonesia, there's the Javan kingfisher.
Beautiful.
Another one that we were so happy. If we had been anywhere else in the world, we would not have gotten to see that bird. So birding can help you pick your next destination.
David's birdwatching during the video.
How smart.
So this is our bonus tip of why we think birding makes such a great hobby for travelers. And for us, it's partly because it's competitive. The nature of birding is that you are collecting data, you're making observations, and then you quantify that into data that you put into the websites of what you've seen and where you've seen it. But then you can use that data to keep track of things. So you're keeping track of how many species did you see? How many species did you see in this country? How many species did you see in this particular location? And you can track that data over time. And you can kind of see where other people sit. You can compare it to yourself. You know, did I see more birds this March than I did last March? Did I see more birds this year than I did last year? There's a thing called the big year, where you spend an entire year trying to collect as many birds as you possibly can within that year. That was kind of our 2023, because we went to, 5 different continents. We had a really good year that year. This year, we're not going to make that. We're just not going to those kind of destinations, but we're still keeping track of things. Like there is, I know, the KL Tower in Kuala Lumpur. We birded there a lot while we spent 2 months in Kuala Lumpur last year, and we are still the #1 birder in that particular location. We just came from Albania, and we were very briefly the #1 birder in the country of Albania. We only kept that title for a couple days, and then we left, and we were quickly surpassed, of course. But it's still kind of fun to see those statistics. I think it's very motivating and just kind of gives it that competitive feeling that makes birding a lot of fun. You can have fun with this, whether it's being social, whether you're keeping track of your stats, whether you're trying to take pictures. There's just a lot of ways to have fun. We have fun, and we think you can too.
If you'd like to see more birding content, whether that's what apps we use or how we record our birds, please let us know in the comments below.
Today and not tomorrow.